In case it wasn't already obvious, he's pretty much about the size of my puppy. There's your lion mode comparison right there. Hey, Beanie. Say hi.
Stay nutty and get your geek on.
What's up, guys? Music coming back at you guys again, another Transformers video review. And today we are going to be taking a look at the KFC Kids Fantasy Club Heavy Metal Warrior Simba. Their Victory Leo. We're gonna just call it that. Basically, it is a masterpiece scale Victory Leo. And this thing is pretty damn spectacular. I'm really looking forward to talking about this. But first, we gotta talk about some of the accessories, which 4 of them are actually on the person right now. Because he has these 2 shoulder guns that pop off, this giant main gun that pops off, and this really awesome ball-jointed tail is also an accessory. Yeah, this thing is actually really cool. But he does have other accessories, which we will be talking about right now. He comes with this, which becomes a blast shield, but also does some very secret thing. He comes with this blue rod. This is pretty much meant to give him his flight stand. So, yeah, I will definitely be showing you guys how this works soon. He comes with this for a super secret reason. And lastly, he comes with the nose cone for his jet mode. Quite frankly, I don't care much for the jet mode. But it is part of the figure, so we're going to go into it. So, yeah, this is the nose cone. As far as the lion mode itself goes, it is a chunky kitty. I mean, look at the size of this dude. He's really, really massive. I mean, clearly enough, if you were even paying attention to my opening skit, you would know he is basically already half the size of my puppy. This thing is absolutely massive. So, just, yeah, there's a lot to love here. But of course, there is also way more to love in his other modes. But before we get to the other modes, we gotta talk about the lion mode a little more. So, the head does rotate like that. It's actually a very clicky ratchet twist. I like that a lot. Unfortunately, you really don't, like, I wish, a major complaint that I have with this figure, I wish the head was ball jointed. Because it would have allowed the lion head to properly look left and right. Unfortunately, he's stuck looking dead on. And that drives me nuts. But, you know, it's whatever. Now, the rest of the figure, part of my crew that loves ratchet joints. I hope you're ready for this because I'm about to get into this. So, he has very heavy ratchets in the shoulders, a separate heavy ratchet within the shoulder pad, a very stiff bicep swivel, heavy ratchet right there in the elbow, a ball jointed paw with front fingers, or I guess front claws that splay outward. So you can basically have that if you so desired. Me personally, I prefer them closed up. Now, the rear legs, as you can already tell, this thing is ball jointed, and it's an awesome gimmick, but unfortunately these ball joints are super loose, so they literally just crumble under your grip, and they don't really hold up under specific parameters. Rear legs, ratcheting joint there, ratcheting joint there, ratcheting ankle there, and a somewhat clicky ankle rocker. So yeah, there we go. That's basically the lion mode in a nutshell. These things can also move. The wings articulate as well. So, I mean, he's a flying lion. What else are you really going to have him do? So, with that said, guys, we're going to go ahead and attempt to turn him into the lion mode. Not the lion mode, the jet mode. Which the first thing we got to do is take off the guns and the tail. Which I'm going to do right now. So, there we go. Now, let's get into it. First thing you're going to want to do is rotate those. Then, you're going to go ahead and curl these up like that. Do the same thing for the other side. You're going to take these barrel things and this little divot up here is pretty much the basis of where you're going to rest this. Unfortunately, it doesn't really sit very flush, but it gives you, it's like a guide for you to set it. Take the lion head assembly thing, and if you can get it to, there we go. Lift it up and fold it up like this, and just kind of have it sit there. Pull this down, swing it around. Same thing on the other side. Straighten the arms and bring them back. And then you rotate them. And that should keep everything in line. Do the same thing for the other side. Now, the way I removed the tail was you actually have to split this section right here. But we needed this split open anyways because we need to bring in the nose cone. The nose cone, we have to open up like this, flip this piece out, and then close it back up like this. And that's what's going to allow it to attach to the actual body. But then we flip these tabs out, and we take these smaller guns, and we peg them in right here. There's more to these guns. I'm stingy about how these face, so let me fix that real quick. There we go. It's not the greatest connection in the world, but it'll do, especially if you're planning on using the jet mode for any reason whatsoever. Now, this next bit is a bit difficult, but basically you have to line these ridges up with a groove that's literally on this black piece right here. So get it in there, get it in there. Stop it. Come on. You get the picture. It's supposed to plug in. I'm probably going to have to do this off camera unless I can get it. Because you also have a little triangular bit down there that you have to, like, it's right here. Let me go ahead and, it's right here. It sits up against this. So I will be right back. There we go. Once you got that on, you then take this, you basically just put it right back to where you had it, and there you go. That's basically the jet mode in a nutshell. But, of course, if you're like me, you prefer the jet mode to look proper. So, there's one more thing we gotta do. Take this thing, flip it out, and get that landing gear out without popping the wheel out. So, give me just a minute so I can find that. Then you just come to this one, and a lot easier than the other one. Clearly, because, you know, I didn't break the freaking wheel off. But there we go. Now, let's stand it up. And there's the jet mode. It's a jet. It's a stupid looking jet, but it's a jet nonetheless. I have, like, literally no words for this. You can tell I don't care much for this mode. Excuse me. I just don't care much for this mode. But if you don't like the fact that it's flat on the ground like this, we can fix that as well. Because if we take these two things and plug them together like this, this becomes a flight stand for him. With the stand facing like this, it's gonna grip onto this crotch piece right here. So I'm gonna try and do it while it's rolling and see if I can get it working. Nope, clearly enough, not with the camera. Yeah, no, I'm not feeling that connection, so give me a minute. And there we go. You now have your flight stand utilizing a giant jet. Or a giant jet utilizing a flight stand. Yeah, I know. Get to the real reason why we have this figure in front of us. So, let's just go ahead and do the same thing that we did before and strip it of accessories. And there we go. So, let's go ahead and turn this back into a robot. And we're going to start, I guess, with the legs. So, split them, I guess, whatever. The instructions and every other video that I've seen on this makes this very clear. You extend the leg, but you have to utilize, you got to get a grip around the actual hip itself to give yourself proper leverage. So, basically, once you extend the leg, you open these, and that's basically his leg right there. Do the same thing over here on the other side. Once you have the legs done, go ahead and just bring your arms back down, bring these back down, and kind of do your best to have them just chill on the hips. And then just go ahead and make your arms by rotating this around, unless it, decides it wants to be a pain in the butt. There you go. This panel that you've seen open quite a few times on me already, you flip it out, or you flip it open and you flip out his robot hands, which you then proceed to just kind of open up. There we go. Do the same thing over on the other side. Coming to his back real quick, go ahead and fold his wings in on themselves like this. Bring his head down like this and make sure that you lock it in properly. So, yep, now it's not coming out because there is a ridge right here that's supposed to go underneath the black bit. So you got to utilize the ratcheting system on this joint, and I'm pretty sure it's self-explanatory at this point. You gotta make sure you get it exactly right, and he just pretty much kicked the tripod. There we go. But yeah, that's basically what you gotta do to get the neck, or at least the head assembly in place. Then we splay the horns, we get in there and we flip out the face. Don't mind the scratched up paint. Let me go ahead and get him looking nice and pretty, and we'll take a closer look. And there is the robot mode. It is a very typical Japanese continuity goodness. I love this robot mode. Now, of course, we gotta go into gimmicks. One of the gimmicks is he can actually store basically almost all of his accessories on him. These guns, a quick little gimmick to show off with these, they have a spare handle in here that the saber can hold from Master Beast Star Saber, because that's basically who this is supposed to be going with for a super secret reason. But these, if you come around to the back and plug them back in where they once were when he was in lion mode, that gives more to his look, and on a series of hinges and ratchets, you can indeed bring them forward. But another thing you can do with these is if you pull them off, this peg on his forearm can house the guns. Now, normally, when I have him displayed as his normal robot, I usually go ahead and put these here, because it just makes sense to me. The giant rifle, you could put it back where you initially had it originally, which was right around back on this port. But the better way to do it is if you lift this up, there's a little port right here. Utilizing that same peg, you can put it right in there. And this basically is starting to become a little ridiculous at this point, but just bear with me, because another thing that he can do is, you know, we would have to sacrifice one of the guns, but you could split this open and, quite like Star Saber, you can give him an arm-mounted shield, which this is a very welcome integration. But the thing that I like the most about this is, if memory serves me right, you take these and there's a way to do this, but basically you can have this go onto this as like a a ground blast shield sort of deal. I cannot remember how it works. Give me 1 second. Okay, so my apologies, I had it wrong. There is these two little tabs that latch into this that will let you use the shield that was originally mounted on his arm as more of an actual, like, blast shield that you can mount in front of him. I mean, granted, he is essentially way too big for this thing, but it would definitely allow you to put the guns all over him. But the only two things that you really can't use in the robot mode is these. Again, there's a reason for this. Mainly this. There's bonus reasons for it. But we're not going to go into that right now, because what we are going to do first is we are going to cap off most of this video with the articulation and then the size comparison. And before I forget, on a little slider, you can deploy these little Gatling guns. Just in case if you thought I forgot. Starting articulation off, once again, not really a fan of how this works, because he only really gets side to side, barely gets any up, really doesn't get much down. He just, clearly enough, you can tell they didn't put a lot of real thought and effort into the head articulation here. Arm movement is retained from the line mode, big, heavy, hefty rackets, as well as the bicep swivel, which is super stiff, the heavy, heavy elbow. But the new thing is, instead of the paws, we now have the Keith hands, which have fully articulated fingers. Which I love this. I love articulated hands because it allows for so much more dynamic looks. there's a technical term I was trying to use, but clearly enough, it wasn't working. So just, yeah, you can tell that there's a lot you can do here. So you can basically do the Vulcan. You can have him do the Rock On. You can even have him do the, no, I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not. I'm not going to be that typical guy. One of the shocking things with this, when I initially got it, I didn't think he was going to have this given what he does, but he's got a waist swivel. Again, due to that super secret reason, I'm very surprised he has this. Hips-wise, if you get the skirt moved out of the way, he can kick that far, that back, in and out. Nice, heavy ratchets. I love this. Thigh swivel. Single hinge knee that gets you pretty much exactly what you would want out of it. And the ankle tilt. You could cheat it. Actually, he does have the pivot too. Huh. Well, I'll be. He's got the pivot too. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, it goes to show how little I've actually messed with this figure as a whole. But yeah, there you go. There's the articulation. So that's comparison-wise. MP Sideswipe, MP Ratchet, Fans Hobby Power Baser, and MP Star Saber. You know, the reason why this thing exists. Before we get into the final thoughts, there is a couple things I do got to show. He can indeed actually handhold the giant cannon. It's via the typical Masterpiece style. Oh, and he also has the ball joint at the wrist. But yeah, he can hold that. And he holds it up like a champ, thanks to those nice heavy ratchets. But another thing he can do is he can actually use his tail as a weapon. Again, via the typical Masterpiece style tab in the palm trick. I don't know why it's not working now, but there we go. He can now swing his tail around like a whip. Yeah, there we go. All right, I believe that's everything. So let's get into some final thoughts. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. One of the things that I definitely am going to have to slam on this, it's that lack of head articulation. That drives me nuts. There are so many articulation things that I really wish I could praise this for, that I just can't. Another thing that you've probably noticed throughout the video that I consistently keep doing, this piece is extremely loose. So that's an issue. Some of the transformation aspects of it, I'm terrified of breaking this thing. The one thing that they mention can be broken very easily is here, from the amount of force you need to straighten the legs. However, for the super secret reason, I broke off one of the lion legs. Now, of course, Superglue fixed that issue very quickly. But it is something I have to bring up in the final thoughts as far as the negatives go. Unfortunately, the chest has the other big negative. That gold chrome chips off extremely easily. As you can see, it's basically almost completely gone on mine. I might need to get a repro label to patch that back up and actually make it look nice. And that's it. That's generally it. I've got nothing else for you guys as far as the negatives go. But the positives far outweigh the negatives. Articulation, aside from the head, works like a dream. Every point, like almost every point on him that is supposed to be articulated utilizes heavy ratchets, which makes him an extremely stable figure. The lion mode, despite being super weird, is my kind of weird. So therefore, I love the lion mode. The jet mode, take it for what you will, it accomplishes exactly what it needs to accomplish. Especially when you keep in mind the super secret of it. And, I mean, come on. Look at this shot. You cannot tell me that this is not a shot that makes you go, I don't want to mess with these guys. He looks amazing with Starsaber, which is ultimately the figure you're going to put him with. Whether you have him utilizing the super secret or if you're just having him stand by Starsaber and look really cool. This is one hell of a figure. But since I was a dunce and didn't get the opportunity to properly show or at least get across the ranking for the Starsaber, you're gonna get 2 this time. So for Starsaber first, I'm actually gonna lean it up against him. He gets Gold Seal. So for those who were wondering what he ranked on my system, he ranked gold. He is a good figure. He is a really good figure. But unfortunately, in comparison to this guy who was an easy platinum, he fell short. He ultimately ended up falling short. I love this. I love the way the Victory Leo turned out. Next video, we will be talking about the super secret. With that said, guys, I've taken up enough of your time. This is BC saying Standard Geek On. I'll talk to you guys later.